Contracts ferment conflicts. Projects suffer and only lawyers benefit. It goes without saying that the best way to handle and resolve conflicts is to circumvent them in the first place from happening. My name is Damarika Taire. I'm a lawyer by profession. I practice law at Butajira and Company Advocates, Western Region, Mbarara. I'm also a director at Alternative Dispute Resolution Center. Today, I'm here to talk about conflict avoidance. We have seen in my opening statement that contracts ferment conflicts, projects suffer, and only lawyers benefit. The best way to handle conflicts would be to circumvent them in the first place from happening. It is possible. As we are still talking about alternative dispute resolution, encouraging court users to use alternative dispute resolution to resolve their conflicts. Developed countries have moved ahead of us. They are already practicing conflict avoidance instead of wasting a lot of time in having conflicts, first of all, crystallize and then go into resolving them. Developed countries are looking at how, especially conflicts of commercial sense, can be handled and can be circumvented from happening in the first place. This is what we are trying to do at Alternative Dispute Resolution Center. One of the things that can be done to circumvent these conflicts from happening is the way you draft the contract for the parties in the first place. Many times we have seen people having issues as to whether there was even a binding contract between the parties or the legality of the contract. All these issues can be avoided when the drafter of the contract uses simple, clear words which can easily be understood by the least of the illiterate persons. Choose your words very carefully. Put the parties' obligations, rights, obligations, and the conditions using the very simple words to the extent that the person who looks at this contract at the first reading is able to ascertain and understand clearly what were the intentions of these parties. Once that is done, then you will not have issues as to whether there was a binding contract between the parties, who was supposed to do what were the parties intending to do. Those issues will not arise, so you would have avoided conflicts of that nature. We also need to talk about time frames, especially concerning cash flows in the contract, which are commercial in nature. We all know, or if you don't know, as a business person, I'm here to tell you that commercial relationships depend on cash flow as their blood. Where there is no cash flow, the relationship will automatically die a natural death. So in drafting these contracts, we need to provide clearly for the cash flows, timelines, and the parties must always be reminded to respect these timelines to make sure that cash flows from where it is supposed to come from at the right time, in the right agreed amounts, so that these projects continue running. Once you have put that in place, you would have avoided the conflicts of, delayed payments, delayed project running because of lack of money, which will help the project to continue without having issues. We also need to talk about effective and constant communications. This is very important. Where there is communication, you don't expect a lot of misunderstanding one another, because you're talking time and again. You're able to talk about everything, whereby you will not be having any issues left unattended to, which would end up, maturing into a conflict. So I would encourage that whenever you're drafting any contract of commercial in nature, make sure that you provide for effective and constant communications between the parties to avoid conflicts of certain nature. We also need to talk about proper record keeping. Where there are no records, definitely, you will lack terms of references. And sometimes you discuss about issues and you've not written down anything, or you have purchased things, or you have made some amendments in the main contract, but there was nothing put down. Now here the person is coming, claiming rights arising from the main contract, and yet this same contract had been amended, but because you don't have what to show that on this date, we sat down and amended the other first contract, and here the rights are like this and like this. So you will end up having issues if you don't have proper records concerning how the project is running and how the meetings have been, going, what have been changed, what has been done, and things of that nature. So if you put such things in place, you will avoid a lot of conflicts. So it is very important always to provide for such things, and parties always to be encouraged to keep record and proper records of how the project is running. We also need to talk about early warnings. In most cases, before conflicts happen, there are those signs that show that something is likely to happen. So if you see those early warnings, please reach out to your colleague and talk to them about what is likely to happen. It makes business sense or commercial sense rather than legal sense for a person to reach out to a colleague and say, hey, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. We had agreed that you do ABCD, but instead you're doing YZ. So the legal sense will tell you your right has been violated, you have a cause of action, you take this person to court, you are entitled to damages. But before you run for your rights being violated and then having the cause of action going to court, ask yourself, how long will that process take you? Was that your main objectives of coming into this contract? Is it going to be fulfilled through that channel that you want to take now? How about if you reach out and talk to this person about what you think is not going on well, and you discuss about it? There can be a compromise. Okay, you have delayed for a week. It's well. I give you another week. Let's continue and finish the project. For the good of the project to keep on running and for it to be completed, other than running into having issues, wasting time in resolving issues, and then you stall the project. We have seen that when conflicts happen, projects suffer and only lawyers benefit. How are lawyers benefiting here? Because the lawyer is telling you that your rights have been violated as per this contract, so you have a cause of action. So you're giving a lawyer instructions to file a suit in court. A lawyer is asking for legal fees, and every time a lawyer moves out of his office to go to court, you're paying him facilitation for that day. So parties, you're losing. When a lawyer goes to court, we'll ask for injunctions concerning certain projects, that certain activities should be put at hold until this has been sorted. The project is suffering. So now you imagine the people who started, you had your own objectives and reasons why you entered into this contract. what you intended to achieve, it is not now being achieved. Another person is coming in to benefit from what you'd have benefited. So I would advise that before we run into, enforcing our rights through court systems, involving lawyers to file suits in courts, to always talk together as partners in business, as people who have a contract, and see how we can end this on a win-win situation without making our projects to suffer. Yes, it is very important, because if you don't do that, then you're diverting from the very reason why you started this contract. I would encourage that every person who enters into a contract which is commercial in nature, have your objectives well stipulated. As you move along the way, anything that you see is going to divert you from what you intended to achieve from this contract. Of course, when issues happen, when we are in the heat of those conflicts, we tend to lose track. But always, please sit down, think about the reasons why in the first place you entered into this contract. Ask yourself, the course of action that you're taking right now is going to help you achieve your objectives or not. If it is not, then find a better way to handle it so that you're able at the end of it all to achieve your intended objectives. We also need to talk about dispute boards as we talk about dispute avoidance. Dispute boards, they are of two types. One of them is the dispute adjudication board. Another one is dispute review or dispute avoidance boards. In this video, we are concerned with the dispute avoidance boards. The dispute avoidance boards are put in place at the formation of the contract. It is also a panel of 3 people who will familiarize themselves with the terms and conditions of the contract and be able to follow on each party of the contract to make sure that they fulfill their obligations at the right time. And they remind parties in the case of any delay or any diversion that is likely to cause conflicts that, hey, as per the contract, you're supposed to do this. We can see you're taking this route, which is going to cause issues. And that party will be reminded to come back to the right channel, whereby the conflict that would have arisen would be avoided. So it is very important to consider having these dispute boards. Some people look at them as being expensive, but it is not expensive compared to what you're likely to lose in the case of disputes crystallizing, and then you go into the process of having them resolved and the time it will take. Because of course, in such relationships, time is money. So any time wasted doing other things other than the actual work, it is costing you. So you need to be mindful of, you would rather pay the board to guide the contract to move on very well and make sure that nothing goes wrong, other than waiting to pay for the dispute adjudication board at the end of it all to resolve the issues. Yes, it is very possible for something that is likely to happen to plan for it on how it can be avoided. As we started saying from the beginning, that contracts breed conflicts. So if you know that, at the beginning of every contract, provide for measures. How can you avoid these conflicts so that these contracts don't suffer? So that lawyers who are not part of this contract don't come to benefit from where they were not intended to benefit from. So that our relationship as investors, as entrepreneurs, as government, which is getting involved in different contracts with different investors, is not, spoiled. Instead, it is built to be stronger for further investments and business dealings. Thank you so much for listening. Let's talk about dispute avoidance wherever we go. Let's try to find more about them. You can reach out to me for more information concerning how we can avoid conflicts, how we can resolve conflicts without resorting to court. I've told you that I'm a director at Alternative Dispute Resolution Center, and this is what we are determined to do. We are determined to make sure that projects don't suffer and business relationships don't get strained. Instead, they get strengthened for development. God bless you.